What's up YouTube? This is Eric, Evid Photography, and I'm back with another video. This time to tell you why I made the switch. So as the video said, I made the switch to Sony. It was a long process, a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of talking to people, people who I know who have made the switch to Sony, and so forth, to gather a lot of information. But for me, there was three main things that really drew me to Sony. One of them is the eye autofocus. That's a game changer. It's like cheating. You hit that button, you can assign it to whatever button you want, but you hit that button and it locks in on that eye, and it doesn't matter if the person goes left, right, up, down, back, forth. It locks on that eye, and you know that when you take that shot, if that box is on that eye is going to be pinpoint sharp. So that's a great thing. I didn't have that on my Nikon D810, which I'm going to reference a lot because that's kind of, you know, what my experience. I've had other models, but that was the most recent, so I'll reference my A7R2 and my D810 side by side, you know, so that way I can make that comparison. But the other camera did not have that, so that leads to the second part, the 399 autofocusing points. So you imagine a screen, you're looking in that camera, and 399 parts of that screen that Sony is going to grab focus in. My D810 had 59, so there was a lot of recomposing, which I hate. I don't like to recompose. Some people, they're gonna see this and go, what's the big deal, so what, it's part of photography, you recompose, no big deal. For me, I just don't like it. I hate doing it, and with the 399 autofocusing points, I don't have to do that. And what gets even better is the A7 III and the A7R III have even more focusing points, so it just gets better and better. The other part is the electronic viewfinder. The Sonys have an electronic viewfinder, so when you're staring either into the eye or just looking at the back screen, you're seeing a live picture, the actual picture that you're gonna get. So you can make your adjustments on ISO, shutter speed, aperture, and what you see is what you get. That was the first cassette tape I'd ever purchased. Yes, cassette tape. But what you see is what you get. So it's perfect, and which doesn't make you chimp. I don't know what that is, but for those of you who don't know, chimping is basically when you take your picture and then you look at it and you say, okay, I need to raise my ISO or lower my ISO, or, you know, your shutter speed or your aperture. You look at it, you take the picture again, you look down. Once you're happy, then you do that. That's called chimping. I don't like to chimp. I just don't. I don't. So Sony makes it easier for me. So those are the three main things outside of the Sony being smaller, lighter. You know, it fits good in my hand. The D810 was a little bit big. My hands aren't exactly the biggest, but at times I felt myself gripping it. Especially you throw a 70 to 200, you know, lens on there, and that thing weighs. So some of the drawbacks. One of them, the megapixels, 42.4. I believe my D810 had 36. Not a big difference, but enough to kill my laptop. Basically, I was putting all my pictures on my laptop, and then I would transfer them to, you know, external hard drives to keep them safe. But once I started shooting with the Sony, my computer couldn't even handle those files. I couldn't open the pictures. It was a nightmare. So I've gone to external hard drives. So that's a little bit of a drawback. Huge files. If you have the A7 III, which is newer, 24 megapixels, you're good to go. 24 is still a lot. It's amazing. Battery life, that one's not that big of a deal. For me, the A7R2, I did a maternity shoot. Never once had to change a battery. I did do a senior portrait shoot, and on that one I changed the battery once. Did some little portraits on the side here and there, but battery hasn't been an issue. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not my D810. I mean, I could leave that battery in there forever, and I can't tell you that, you know, I ever had to change it because it got low. So that's something to consider. One of the other bad things is Sony's lenses. Their native lenses can get expensive. The two that I shoot with the most this is the 24-70 2.8 G Master, which I believe is about $21.99, so about $2,200. That's a lot. The other one I have is my favorite portrait lens, 85mm 1.4 G Master. This bad boy will set you back about $1,800. So they're not exactly the cheapest, but like I said, the good part of that is Sigma is about to release, I believe, 9 of their lenses for E-mount, and those are, you know, $1,200-$1,300, you know, $1,000 depending on which one you're gonna get. So things are coming around. I know Tamron, I believe, released the 28-70 for the E-mount, so that's a good thing. But those are pretty much the good and the bad. You know, my Nikon didn't have image stabilization. This one did. I guess one of the bad things, which is probably one of the main things that makes people not switch, is money. It's expensive to switch systems. If you've shot Canon or Nikon and you're heavily vested in glass, that could definitely turn people away, especially for Nikon, because their lenses don't work on Sony bodies, even with an adapter. The Canon, they have adapters, but they're not. The eye autofocus is very glitchy. I mean, there's tons of YouTube videos out there with people who've had hard times with them. I have a buddy of mine who has one, and from time to time, you know, it doesn't always work. So native, you never have those issues. So a lot of times when you have glass, you're not going to get the money that you spent on them, and so people just don't go. So hopefully, though, the adapters are going to get better, and people will be able to make that switch if that's what they choose. But again, there's no right or wrong. There is no perfect camera. Like I told you right now, this A7R2 is beautiful in so many ways, but there's a couple things, you know, that kind of threw me off. Another one I'll share with you real quick before we go is I didn't really hear anybody talking about it. Robert Hall, who has a YouTube channel, did a good video on it. For me, when I'm setting up a shot, usually I will underexpose the background if I'm using off-camera flash. I'll either balance it or underexpose it, depending on the look I'm going for. So once I have that dialed in, then I'll turn on my trigger and I'll introduce the light. Nikon never had a problem. I did notice that on my Sony A7R2, when I turned that trigger on, the screen went very bright. I noticed that other times it didn't go as bright, so I guess it depends on your settings, what the ambient light's like, you know, before you do your shot. But it went bright, so basically it eliminated the viewfinder from being able to see it. Robert Hall did have some alternatives where there's a button that you can assign, and basically it'll go back to, you know, like if it was off, or you can just leave the trigger off and set your shot and then turn it on. So again, like I said, no camera is right or wrong, good or bad. It just depends on what really truly works for you. So I hope that if you're considering making a change, even if it's not to Sony, it's just something else, you know, these are some good points to take into consideration. For me, again, what made it a little easier for me was the amazing guys and gals at Image One Camera in Riverside, California. If you're in Southern California, pay them a visit, check them out online. Amazing guys, from Shaddy the owner, John the manager, Bill, they're all, Cindy, they're all amazing people, very knowledgeable. It doesn't matter who you get in there. They've helped me update my camera. I've gone in there thinking I wanted one thing, and they've pointed me in another directions, and sometimes it was even less expensive. I saved myself some money for a better option. So definitely, you know, thank you to those guys who made my transition from Nikon to Sony a little easier. So definitely check them out. So got some stuff coming up soon. I got a fitness/fashion shoot hopefully coming up in the next week or two. Trying to line up an outdoor ballet shoot. And I'm trying to get some people, you know, I got a couple of buddies that shoot video, trying to line it up with them and the models so that way I could do some behind the scenes and kind of go over the lighting and where and the hows and all that other fun stuff. So again, thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Stay tuned, keep shooting. I'll see you next time.